So should we really get all that involved in these different rate determining methods for Medicare supplements? It's really good information because you're going to have somebody come in like I always do and ask me, well, what's been the average rate increase over this amount of time? And I tell them, but that information right now in the times we live in is very, very arbitrary and might not be accurate at all. You're backcasting, trying to forecast using a backcast example under normal circumstances that usually works pretty well. But what happens when your inflation rate is where it is now? What happens when medical inflation, because of the boomers coming in, is being driven up really, really fast? And that's one of the main factors that causes the rates to go up in these policies. So while we can use some of the information and use it pretty well, you got to be careful not to overpromise or fall in love with any of them too much, because you might be setting yourself up to disappoint somebody or make them mad. And all you're trying to do is provide good information. So let's talk about this here real quick. And before I even get started, this is my opinion. This is the way I think, and this is the way that I do it. It's worked really well for me. So you can either use that and you can emulate some of what I do, or you can add it to whatever your belief is and how you determine how you want your business to go, and come up with something that works better for you. And then, by the way, if you think it works better than mine, share it with me. Okay? Because there's none of this is set in stone. It is my opinion. So what types of rate increase mechanisms are we talking about? Rate types is what I said in the title. You've got attained age, you've got issue age, and you've got community rated being the three that I'm aware of. There might be another one in some other state, but those are the three that I'm aware of. And, you know, which one is best really determines where you are, what you're writing, and just the general atmosphere of what's going on. Attained age go up based on your age each year. They'll also go up for inflation in healthcare, and they'll go up for the area, and there may be a couple of other things, but that age each year is important to remember. Issue age means that they lock you in at the age that you are when the policy originally issues, thus the name, and then it goes up for area and inflation and stuff after that. The community rated picks this wider swath of age and spreads the rate increases and the claims loss out over more people. And that has proven to be a pretty good method and model, at least here in the Southeast Texas area. Okay. Now, whichever one of those, they're all legal. They all work fine. And they're all equally impacted by the inflation and everything that's going on today. And at the end of the day, what you have to remember is those rate increases are different ways to get more blood from a turnip, or juice from an orange, or split hairs, or skin the cat, whatever. We're still dealing with the same basic deal. We're dealing with the same dollar. And there's still 100 cents in the dollar. And how you rearrange them is not saying, hey, if we rearrange these pennies over here, now we have 104 cents. No, we don't. We have the same 100, whether you separate them into groups of 10 or two groups of 50 or whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay. It's all window dressing to make their policies look more attractive. So on the attained age side, they normally will come in lower than everybody else. Not always, but they do a lot. And then with the different mechanisms they have for raising the rates, they will raise for age, inflation, et cetera, to where they usually start off lower than everybody else, but oftentimes at the end of the day, they will end up being the most expensive. Okay? Always? No. But that's the way they've behaved in the past, and I can attest to it because I've seen it. Issue age, they normally start off higher than the attained age, and they are supposed to go on a more level trajectory of rate increases because you're maintaining that initial lower, younger age when you started, and then it raises up over time. And those are supposed to be kind of a middle ground sort of thing, to where it's not going to go up as high as attained age, but they're going to start off higher at the beginning. And so you're buying a more level tabletop, if that makes any sense. I have seen them behave really well. I've seen those plans not behave well. Okay. Just depends on the plan, where you are, et cetera. And then finally, there's the community rating. The community rating normally starts off higher, like the issue age, and then they maintain that tabletop. In fact, the community rating kind of behaves more like what the issue age claims to behave like over time than the attained age. Okay. Most of the policies that are sold in Texas and surrounding the United States, frankly, are attained age policies. It is the most popular deal. Why? Because they start off lower and everybody's, oh, look at that price. That's a great price. I want that. And then they have to start dealing with the rate increases down the road. That's the most popular in terms of like what most of the carriers do. Most people, the largest carrier is AARP, is United Healthcare, and they do the community rating. And in the Houston area, the community rated policy has been, over the last couple of decades at least, demonstrated itself to be the most stable. The rate increases have been most level. They've been the lowest, I personally believe, because they're spreading the claims loss out over more people. And so every more people get a small chunk of the pie, and they're sharing the cost a little bit more equitably. That's my explanation. I'm sure it's not entirely correct, but that's been what it is. And if you look over time and you look at AARP starting and with most of the attained age equivalencies of companies that are pretty large, and look at what's happened over the last 20 years, you'll see that AARP is significantly lower than some of the others. Does that mean that the others are wrong? No. Does that mean that the way that AARP is going to continue into the future, is that going to be the same? Absolutely not. We are in unprecedented times right now. I've seen attained age policies that behave very similar to the AARP community rated model. I've seen issue age behave like attained age when they go up to the moon. I've sold some of those and had those being like, oh my gosh, that's not what this was supposed to do. And at the end of the day, we don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow as much as you could tell me. So the moral of the story is figure out your favorite. Figure out the company that makes you feel best. They take care of your clients. Okay. You watch the rate increases. You're comfortable with them where they are now. And over the last, few years, you're like, you know what, they're in a good spot right now, but let them know we don't have a crystal ball. Focus on customer service and all these things, because those are more controllable. We can provide some of the service. We cannot control the economic situation at all. We cannot control the claims loss and what the carriers are going to the state asking for in terms of rate increases. So think about what you can control and try to work within those parameters. So you got people that sell and have gotten very wealthy selling nothing but attained age policies. Does that mean they've done bad? Absolutely not. They're just educating their clients. They're going to go up every year. And just when they get too expensive, call me. And they're putting with reputable carriers and they just deal with it. The thing you don't want to do is overpromise. This is the greatest plan ever and it never goes up. That is a fool's errand right there. You can't do that, right? But you also don't want to go in and say all of this type are terrible, because neither one of the statements are right. We've got to deal with our clients' needs and the uncertainty in the future in the same way, where we just say, look, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that I'm going to be here when you need some help. And let's just do the best we can. And you just communicate with me and let me know where you are. Pick a solid, well-known carrier with a solid rating that's got good customer service, and you're going to go right every single time, and then add your personal preferences possibly to who you lead with, and then you pivot when it doesn't work. Okay. Does that make sense? Hopefully. I know I blabbed a lot. I hope that was helpful. And I look forward to chatting with you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.